Hello and welcome back, everybody. My name is Sandro, and today we're going to discuss the top 5 reasons why you should not become a machine learning engineer. Don't get me wrong, I am a machine learning engineer, and I think it's one of the most interesting career paths you can go down. But there are some people that really are not meant to become ML engineers. Many years ago, I wanted to study music and do something in that realm, so I learned all the scales and invested a lot of time. But I had to realize that practicing every day for 8 plus hours of technical music things for basically ever on your instrument was just not something that I could personally handle. So if you are at that point in your life where you are not sure if you want to become an ML engineer or maybe something else, there are 5 signs I believe you should look out for that might tell you this is not the career for you. Reason number 1 for me is that you really are not enjoying learning new things constantly. You may need a lot of self-motivation to get yourself to look at a new Python package or a new article and play around with it. And I think that could potentially be a clear sign that this is not a career path for you. I mean, I'm not saying you will need to continue to learn at the level that you are progressing in university, but still the field of ML engineering is changing constantly, and you're expected to keep up with that. I mean, every company that you join again will have its own set of software stacks, and you cannot become productive or valuable there without learning them. Especially when you are first starting out, learning the basics of programming and data manipulation, or how neural networks work and what the math behind those gradients is and what exactly statistics has to do with it. And trust me, when they take those already complicated pieces of mathematics and start throwing them into vectors and matrices, it will take a strong internal motivation to survive this. This also brings me to reason number 2, and that is giving up quickly. If you're a person that gives up quickly, the world of ML engineering is going to be a hell for you. Look, I'm the first person to give up when it comes to plants on my balcony or shopping for pants, but when it comes to computers and programs, I'm the polar opposite, and that is what matters here. When you're working with ML models, debugging and not knowing what is happening is the clear majority of your daily life. Sometimes I am spending days to find the error, and even worse, sometimes it then comes and reappears in a new color somewhere. Look, if you want to do anything in machine learning, you really should bring a lot of patience to make those pieces of call your computers and servers do what you want at the speed you want them to. Additionally, requirements may change on the fly, and you will be forced to adapt to that new reality faster than you can push your code to the production. Of course, your stakeholders will sometimes expect you to handle even the most unlikely cases that could fly into your model pipeline. This brings me already to reason number 3. You really get frustrated when you have to redo your work. As sad as it might seem, once your model is done, it will be necessary to continue to A, improve on it, and B, handle new strange edge cases and changes that just happen over time. Sometimes they simply change the data source or decide that they use new technologies altogether while potentially deleting your historical data without realizing you care. Being in machine learning means, at least when training, you are at the very end of a long pipeline where almost every other programmer in your company somehow already does something with what you get in the end. Surely your production model may be embedded in the normal software stack, but often your and other data people will be the only ones to care about 5-year-old data, and that comes with a lot of special solutions to somehow still being able to use that older data, and that of course comes with a lot of meetings to figure out, and that for me is reason number 4. If you don't like meetings and or people, look, often there is this image of the isolated machine learning engineer tinkering on his model in the basement all by himself, and that really is not the case. Well, there surely are some highly productive weeks where you are only spending 10% of your time in meetings. More often than not, you're discussing a lot about what you want to understand about their data, which columns you have to multiply with what in what cases, and so on. How the stakeholders, then again, are supposed to use your model, or what failure cases they have to be aware of. I have to say, since this massive home office change lately, it's become a bit more chill to just program while listening to those meetings, podcast style. You're still messaging and videoing, video calling and emailing, and not to forget documenting things that people potentially want to read at some point in the future. Often also the problem is not clear and you will need to do requirements engineering, and that will really require you to get out there and understand their use case and if they can potentially be solved with machine learning. Which brings me to my last point, the fifth one. You only want to do machine learning. Look, I know the job is called machine learning engineer, but it's still only around 10 to 20% of your job. Depending on how you count, of course. Is now building an ML pipeline, ML ops, or is it machine learning? You decide. Anyway, you will have to write some APIs and a lot of data transformation to go from SQL to machine learning ready inputs. There is going to be so much data science, data engineering, and software engineering that you are often enough not that sure anymore what you exactly are, and that has been the experience of many in the field. So if you are really looking to only tinker around on a fancy deep learning model, potentially consider finding a role in AI research. But even then, you won't get to 100% machine learning. I really hope this helped you make sure you really want to become a machine learning engineer before you invest a lot of time and money, which is really a big lifetime investment after all, and you can make sure that it really is the right thing for you. If you want YouTube to give you more of this awesome content, make sure to label this video with a thumb up and subscribe. If you are even more convinced that you want to become an ML engineer now than ever, make sure to check out my video on how to become an ML engineer.